It started with a signal, a peaceful message. But what came next was fire. Deep in the cold void of space, sensors picked up something strange, a planet filled with noise, movement, and radiation. The Galactic Empire's long-range probes scanned it carefully. Life, billions of sentient beings. But the technology, weak, outdated, primitive. The planet was called Earth. To the Galactic Empire, Earth looked like a backwater rock. It wasn't part of any star network. Its people had no faster-than-light travel. Their ships couldn't even reach their own moon with ease. It should have been an easy conquest. A one-day task, a test for young commanders. Lord Zero, High Officer of the Empire's Western Fleet, stood in front of the glowing map. His golden armor reflected the light. His 6 eyes blinked slowly. Send the first message, he ordered. Let them know they are now under our control. A probe broadcasted the Empire's standard message. It was calm and cold, a declaration of dominance, a demand for surrender. To their surprise, Earth responded. The message was short. No emotion, no fear. We advise you, don't try us. Zero laughed, a deep, cruel sound that echoed through the command deck. They think they can threaten us, he said. They don't even have warp drive. His officers laughed with him in their eyes. Humans were a joke. The Empire had crushed planets. With stronger defenses, a world like Earth would fall in minutes. Zero waved his hand. Send the scout fleet. 5 ships, no more. Let's not waste energy. The ships launched. They broke through space like knives through fabric. As they neared Earth, they passed satellites, debris, and strange radio signals. Music, static, a million voices speaking at once. No order, no silence. Commander, a scout pilot said. These creatures never stop talking. They sound desperate, another replied. Let's end this quickly. On Earth, news spread fast. Strange lights in the sky. Satellites shutting down. Military systems going dark. Something was coming, and it wasn't human. In secret bunkers and deep underground bases, leaders met. Old enemies shared rooms. There was fear, yes, but there was also focus. Humanity had faced war before, but never like this. Still, they remembered the message they sent. Don't try us. The scout ships entered low orbit, their weapons charged. One officer turned to his screen. Target their military bases. Let's show them who rules now. Then, something strange happened. The lead scout ship blinked off the radar. Commander, a voice called. We just lost ship 1. Zero frowned. What do you mean lost? It vanished. No explosion. No signal. Nothing. Scan again. But the scanners showed only silence. Ship 1 was gone, erased from existence. Suddenly, static filled the comms. This is Scout 2. We're seeing strange activity from Earth's surface. We wait. What is? The transmission cut out. Then a flash of light in the distance. Ship 2 was gone. Panic started to rise on the deck. They're using some kind of weapon. A technician said. Impossible. Zero snapped. They don't have that tech. But humans didn't fight like the Empire expected. They didn't send warnings. They didn't beg. Instead, they had hacked the scout ships, taken control through backdoor code. A virus launched from Earth satellites had infected their systems. Humans had studied the alien tech before it even arrived and found weaknesses. While the Empire laughed, Earth had prepared. Scout 3 tried to retreat, but its engines failed mid-flight and it crashed into the ocean. Zero's face darkened. His pride cracked. Send the rest of the fleet, he growled. Crush them. But even as he gave the order, another human message arrived. This time, it played across all screens, across the bridge, across the fleet, across every ship. A human figure in shadow. Calm voice. No fear. We warned you. You didn't listen. Then the screen went black. A moment later, Scout 4 exploded. No one had fired. No human ship was in sight. But something was out there. Something hidden. And it had just begun. Zero turned to his officers, his voice lower now. What are we dealing with? No one had an answer, because for the first time in centuries, the Empire wasn't hunting. It was being hunted. The sun rose over quiet fields in the American Midwest. A cool wind moved through the tall grass. Cows grazed peacefully. A boy rode his bike down an old country road, earbuds in, unaware of what was floating high above the clouds. The Empire's remaining scout ship hovered silently in the sky, watching. Inside, alien soldiers prepared for landing. Their armor clicked into place, their weapons buzzed with power. They had trained for war on burning planets, fought monsters across the stars. Earth looked calm. To calm, the first dropships fell like meteors, shaking the ground as they landed. Dust rose into the air. Farm animals scattered. People ran from their homes. Soldiers poured out of the ships, tall and armored, scanning the area with glowing eyes. No resistance, one soldier said. Locals are fleeing. Pathetic, the squad leader muttered. Secure the town. They marched into a small town, empty streets, doors swinging open. Food still warm on tables. It felt too easy. In Washington, military leaders watched from deep underground. Satellite feeds showed the invasion. They didn't panic. Instead, they gave the green light. Across the country, civilian volunteers were already in position. Farmers, truckers, vets, hackers, no uniforms, no rules, just instructions. Slow them down. Delay the Empire. Learn everything. In the town, a lone man stepped out from a store. Middle-aged, worn jeans, baseball cap, holding a simple hunting rifle. The squad leader raised his arm. Human. Stand down. The man fired once. The alien's helmet cracked and fell apart. The leader dropped. His blood hit the street. The other soldiers froze. It wasn't supposed to be like this. More shots came from windows, rooftops, even manholes. The Empire returned fire, blasting buildings, but the humans vanished just as fast. They weren't fighting like soldiers, they were fighting like ghosts. From nearby woods, drones launched into the sky, cheap, silent, and deadly, modified with explosives and facial recognition. The invaders shot them down, but they kept coming. An hour later, the squad called for backup. Another ship arrived, but halfway down, it exploded in midair. Someone had hacked the landing system. By nightfall, the Empire had taken the town, but at a cost. 2 ships down, dozens of soldiers lost, confidence shaken. And then came the video. All across the Empire's communications network, human faces appeared. Young, old, male, female, calm, steady, serious. You landed on our home. You fired first. We told you not to. Now you've made it real. Behind the voice, the footage showed downed Empire ships, captured weapons, human engineers taking notes, learning fast. Then the voice returned. We're not soldiers. We're citizens. And we're everywhere. Zero watched in silence aboard his flagship. The feed ended. A low growl escaped his throat. Who are these people? He demanded. Primitive. Sir, one officer replied. But unpredictable. Zero turned. Unpredictable gets soldiers killed. Back on Earth, the humans didn't sleep. They shared information across every continent. Old nations dropped their grudges. Tech companies offered AI tools. Underground groups came into the light. Hackers took down Empire satellites using nothing but laptops and coffee. Even school teachers joined the resistance, sending coded messages through textbooks. No one told them to fight. They just did. In the mountains, a retired sniper used an old rifle and took down a patrol from over a mile away. In the cities, engineers modified delivery drones into flying bombs. Teenagers cracked alien encryption while sitting in basements. The Empire responded with more troops, heavier weapons, but the more they sent, the more they lost. Their systems glitched. Their maps went dark. Their supply lines vanished overnight. They couldn't understand it. How was a species with no space travel winning inside a captured town? An alien soldier whispered into a hidden recorder. His voice shook. They don't fight like we do. They use shadows. They use fear. They don't retreat. They don't talk. They just appear. The message never reached command. Because the human who recorded it was wearing his armor, Zero began to see the truth. This wasn't a rebellion. This was a trap. Earth wasn't weak. Earth was waiting. And now, it was striking back. The commander stood on his deck, staring at the planet below. His 6 eyes narrowed. Begin orbital scans, he said. Find their leaders. Find their bases. Burn them. But deep inside Earth's crust, in bunkers built decades ago, the real fight was just beginning. Human minds were working faster than ever. They had no ships in orbit, no starfleets, no lasers. They had something better. They had each other, and the Empire had no idea what was coming next. Asterisk. He muttered. Relax, his captain said. They're weak, scattered, almost finished. But deep down, none of them believed it anymore. The humans weren't fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. Across the region, more Empire units had vanished, entire squads gone without a trace. No bodies, no signals. Just silence. It wasn't normal. The Empire's commanders blamed the terrain, the atmosphere, sensor failure. But soldiers on the ground whispered a different story, one that moved quickly through the ranks. The humans had monsters. Not real monsters, but something worse. Cold, quiet fighters who struck at night and never missed. They called them REAPERS. No one had seen their faces. No one had heard their voices. But every time a patrol went silent, the rumors grew. In truth, Project Reaper had started 2 years before the invasion, hidden from the public, even from world governments. A black ops program using retired special forces, ex-spies, rogue AI developers, and stolen alien tech from old crash sites. Not many people knew about it. But now, the Reapers were awake. Some wore adaptive armor camouflaged against trees, walls, even shadows. Others used smart bullets, built by underground engineers, guided by heat signatures and facial scans. All of them moved without sound. All of them struck without warning. And they weren't alone. As the Empire pushed deeper into human cities, it meant something new: unity. Humans had always fought among themselves, over borders, flags, religion, money. But now, with Earth under attack, none of that mattered. Old enemies shook hands, nations opened their codes to one another. Generals from across the world shared one command center. Even gangs and street groups joined the resistance, protecting neighborhoods block by block. In Detroit, an old mechanic taught teenagers how to build bombs using car parts. In Tokyo, software developers used hacked satellites to jam enemy signals. In South Africa, miners turned tunnels into deadly traps. They weren't trained soldiers, but they were angry, and they were learning fast. Meanwhile, in orbit, Lord Zero stood inside his flagship, watching red dots appear and disappear across a map of Earth. This doesn't make sense, he said. Our scanners show no real army, no command base, just chaos. It's not chaos. One of his advisors said slowly, it's strategy. Zero turned. What do you mean? They're using asymmetric warfare. Decentralized commands, small cells, no central weakness. Zero growled. That's not war. That's cowardice. But even he didn't believe that anymore. The Empire had lost more soldiers in the past week than during 5 full planetary invasions. Something had changed. The humans had adapted. Down on the ground, another Empire base lit up in flames. Black smoke filled the air. Human forces slipped into the night, again gone before reinforcements arrived. At the center of the base, a small drone hovered in the smoke. It blinked red and then played a voice recording. Calm, confident. Human, you invaded our world. You brought fear. Now let us return the favor. Then it exploded. Back at the main fleet, panic started to spread. Alien officers argued. Some wanted to retreat. Others demanded full orbital strikes. Zero made no decision. He stared at Earth. It looked so small from up here, so fragile, yet somehow it was bleeding his empire. Inside a damaged bunker near the Rockies, to human Reapers cleaned their gear. One of them, a woman with scarred hands and quiet eyes, looked up at the stars. They thought we'd roll over, she said. The others smiled. They forgot we're the ones who write horror stories. She nodded. Let's give them one. Meanwhile, humans across the world prepared for something bigger, something darker. Project Reaper was only the beginning. Hidden in underground labs, scientists worked on something called the Black Sky Protocol. No one outside the highest levels knew what it was, but everyone understood one thing. If it was used, there would be no going back. The plan was not to survive the Empire. It was to break them. On board his ship, Lord Zero replayed a clip taken from a crashed human drone. Just before it exploded, the camera caught a human soldier looking straight into the lens. No fear, no mercy, just one sentence. We told you not to try us. Zero shut off the screen. He was starting to understand something he never believed. Before, humans weren't the prey, they were the trap. The desert wind howled across a ruined base in what used to be Nevada. Empire banners lay torn in the sand. Alien weapons smoked in the rubble. The silence was heavy, too heavy. A rescue team arrived hours later. No survivors, no bodies. Just a message burned into the ground with fire. We are still human, but not for long. On board the Empire's orbiting command ship, Lord Zero watched the drone footage with a clenched jaw. His armored hand gripped the edge of the control table. The screen showed flickers of movement too fast, too precise to be normal soldiers. This is impossible, he muttered. They don't have the tech for this. One of his officers stepped forward. Sir, with respect, maybe they do now. Zero turned, eyes glowing. Explain. We've confirmed multiple reports. They've been capturing our equipment, reverse engineering it, upgrading it with their own tech. Their hackers have taken control of 3 more scout drones this week, and the sabotage in Nevada. They did it using our own fuel cells. Silence filled the room. They're learning faster than we can adapt. Zero's voice dropped. That's not learning. That's evolution. Down on Earth, the fear was. Changing sides, alien patrols now traveled in tight groups, never alone. They set up motion sensors and aerial scouts. They spoke in whispers. Some refused to leave the ships after dark. One soldier, young, freshly deployed, sent a private message back to his home world. They don't sleep, he said. They don't stop. We fire on them, and they disappear. We chase shadows, and sometimes we hear laughter in the static. He never sent another message. The humans weren't just fighting back anymore. They were playing with fear. In northern Canada, an Empire installation went offline in under 12 minutes. The base had been protected by drones, guards, and force fields. But when the Empire sent reinforcements, they found every system shut down, every soldier unconscious, and a single speaker left in the center of the base. It played a soft voice on loop. This isn't war. This is warning. In deep caves beneath Alaska, a group of captured alien prisoners sat in silence. None of them were harmed. They were fed, healed, even offered books in their own language. But the humans guarding them never spoke. One alien broke down and begged to go back to the front lines. They're not like us, he whispered. They smile when you surrender, but they're colder than space. Across the galaxy, news spread. Other species some once conquered by the Empire began to listen to human transmissions. They saw the resistance, the fire, the unity. Whispers grew louder. If the humans can fight back, maybe we can too. Back in orbit, the Empire's command council grew restless. Generals argued. Some demanded full planetary destruction. Others feared the backlash across the galaxy. They are just one species, one admiral said. They don't control even one star system, another responded. Yet they've taken down 5 of ours in 1 week. Zero stood in the center, silent. His face was hard. This is no longer an invasion, he said. This is humiliation. He looked down at Earth on the screen. It glowed with blue oceans, green land, and a fire that couldn't be scanned. What kind of species fights like this? He asked. No one answered. Because no one knew. And then came a defection. One of the Empire's own officers, an alien strategist named Varric, escaped with human help and leaked sensitive data, maps, fleet positions, weak points in the Empire's communication network. When asked why he turned, he said only this: I've fought 100 wars. I've studied 1,000 species, but I've never seen one that fights like humans. You can burn their cities, and they'll laugh. You can take their homes, and they'll dig trenches. You can kill their families, and they'll still come for you. Harder. He looked into the camera, calm. They don't just resist, they become something else, something worse. And you made them this way. On Earth, the message reached the underground networks in seconds. Hackers spread it across satellites, radio stations, played it. Even civilian phones received it. A single line pulsed on every screen. We are not afraid. In response, the Empire tried one last tactic: fear. They launched targeted orbital strikes on empty cities, hoping to break human morale. But when the dust settled, a new human video played on the Empire's main channel. It showed a group of survivors laughing, sharing food, singing. Then the camera turned to a woman holding a rifle. She said calmly, "You think fear will stop us, but fear is where we live. You just arrived." And for the first time in Empire history, the invaders started asking to go home. The stars above Earth were quiet, but deep inside those stars, war was coming. The Galactic Empire thought the fight would end on Earth, that humans would break, surrender, fade. They were wrong. Earth wasn't backing down. It was reaching up. Inside a hidden base in the Colorado mountains, human engineers stood around a glowing table. On it sat a small, strange engine, part alien, part human-made. They called it the Spark Drive. Built using captured Empire tech and human creativity, it allowed faster-than-light travel, something Earth had never achieved before. Until now. "Are we ready?" one scientist asked. A pilot nodded. "It's time we visit their backyard." The mission was simple: strike first, hit hard, show the Empire that Earth wasn't trapped on one planet anymore. They called the ship the Ghost. No official flags, no call signs, just one goal: attack and vanish. The first target was a remote Empire supply base on a moon near the edge of their territory. It wasn't well defended. Why would it be? The Empire thought no one could reach them. But one quiet night, the alarms rang across the base. Ships exploded in the hangar. Fuel tanks caught fire. The command center shut down. And in the smoke, someone painted a message on the wall: "Hello from Earth." Back on the flagship, Lord Zero was losing control. More officers had disappeared. Empire soldiers were refusing orders. Some had started asking questions that were once considered treason. What if we made a mistake? What if they're not the savages? What if we can't win? Zero crushed a cup in his hand. "We are the Empire," he hissed. "We don't lose to dirt world creatures." But he couldn't hide the numbers. In just 2 weeks, the Empire had lost 7 forward bases, 3 warships, and hundreds of soldiers. And now, Earth had left Earth. More human ships launched from secret bases, each one faster, smaller, harder to detect than anything the Empire had seen. They didn't fight like a fleet. They fought like a virus, cutting through systems, spreading fear, and disappearing before anyone could strike back. The humans had no colonies, no starports, but they had will, and they had rage. In one recorded mission, a team of 6 humans boarded an Empire cruiser. They disabled the engines, took the bridge, and sent out a single message in the Empire's own language: "You brought the war. We'll bring the ending." Then they self-destructed the ship after safely escaping in a pod the size of a refrigerator. Back on Earth, people watched the news with quiet pride. Cities were still rebuilding. Families still mourned. But now, they weren't scared. They were ready. Young people signed up for programs that didn't exist a month ago. Farmers learned to pilot drones. Doctors trained in zero-gravity combat medicine. Hackers built star maps from stolen alien data. And in the shadows, a new alliance formed. Several alien species once ruled by the Empire began reaching out to Earth. At first, just messages. Then, weapons. Then, fighters. They had watched humanity stand up against the most feared power in the galaxy and win. If they can do it, one alien leader said, maybe we can too. Zero saw the reports and felt something strange creeping in. It wasn't anger. It wasn't pride. It was fear. He ordered a full lockdown across the outer systems. No ships in, no ships out. But it was too late. The infection had spread. The fear of humans had become a movement. Inside a dark hangar on a stolen Empire moon, 2 human reapers met with alien rebels. They spoke few words, just shared plans, targets, tactics. When one rebel asked, "Why are you helping us?" the reaper just smiled and said, "We're not helping you. We're showing them what happens when you push us too far." Then he vanished into the shadows. Across the Empire's central fleet, broadcasts began to fail. Some ships received strange transmissions, recordings of Empire war crimes, edited with human music. flashing the words, "We see you. We remember. We're coming." Morale collapsed. Officers feared their own troops. Some ships turned back toward home. And in the quiet center of it all, Earth kept rising. Inside Mission Control, a young woman stared at a map of stars, now marked with new points, places where Earth had struck. "We're just getting started," she said. Next to her, a general nodded. "We've warned them. We've defended ourselves. Now they'll learn what it means to be hunted." And somewhere out in space, an Empire captain looked out the window of his ship and saw nothing. Then he blinked and saw 3 small ships drifting silently, shaped like ghosts. Before he could scream, the lights went out. The Galactic Empire stretched across thousands of worlds. For centuries, it had ruled with fear. No one dared to speak against it. No one thought it could fall. But that was before Earth. Now, the fear had changed sides. Inside the halls of the Empire's capital planet, things were breaking. Officers argued in secret. Reports were buried. Entire systems had gone silent. Governors whispered of rebellion. Soldiers demanded to return home. The Emperor sat in silence, his long fingers pressed together. His 6 advisors stood before him, nervous. "They are one planet," one advisor said. "How is this happening?" No one had an answer. Back in space, human attacks continued, always fast, always unexpected. One moment, an Empire ship flew through empty space. The next, it was gone, ripped apart by a weapon never seen before. The humans called it whisper dust, a cloud of micromines launched from modified cargo drones. Invisible, silent, and deadly. The Empire called it cheating. But it worked. On one planet, rebels waved Earth's symbol in the streets, a simple shape of the planet in blue and black. On another, alien children played a game called Be the Human, where one child pretended to fight off a dozen Empire soldiers alone and won. The fear spread faster than light. And inside the Empire's high command, the cracks grew wider. Lord Zyril stood at a long table, maps glowing beneath his hands, worlds marked in red lost, worlds in yellow failing, only a few remained green. "This cannot continue," he said. One admiral stepped forward. "We need new weapons, orbital burns, shock bombs." Another disagreed. "No, if we use those, the galaxy will turn against us. They already see Earth as heroes." A third officer, older, thinner, said softly, "Perhaps we need peace." Zyril snapped his head toward him. "You want us to beg?" "No," the officer said. "I want us to survive." Silence filled the room. Down on Earth, humanity was moving forward. Factories ran non-stop. Drones were printed by the hour. Children learned alien languages in school. Scientists shared tech with rebel species. Even former enemies on Earth worked side by side now. One human general said it best during a speech. "They wanted to see how strong we were, but they made us stronger than we ever imagined." In the shadows, the Reapers kept working. Their missions now reached deep into Empire territory. Sabotage, data theft, silent strikes. They moved like ghosts, leaving behind only messages. "This is the cost of your pride." One Reaper team boarded a battleship. Instead of destroying it, they used the ship to broadcast a secret message from an Empire whistleblower, a recording of top officials laughing about Earth's primitive weakness before the invasion began. The footage spread across the stars like fire. Empires were built on fear, but fear only works when people believe the enemy is weak. Now, they knew humans weren't weak. They were relentless, and the Empire had made a mistake it could never take back. On a moon near the edge of Empire space, a full military base surrendered to a small human crew. No battle, no gunfire. The alien commander simply handed over his sword. "I've seen what you do to those who fight back," he said. "And I've seen what you do to those who ask for help." The humans took the base and left supplies for the civilians. Word spread. The Empire's control wasn't just collapsing from outside, it was falling apart from within. Inside the capital, riots began. Some demanded peace with Earth. Others wanted war. Some simply wanted truth. And above it all, the Emperor watched his empire burn. He turned to Zyril in private. "We made a mistake." Zyril said nothing. The Emperor leaned forward. "What would you do if you were human?" Zyril looked out the tall window, stars shining beyond. I would finish what they started. That night, a dozen Empire governors cut ties with Central Command. Whole sectors went dark. Some opened talks with human diplomats. Some joined the growing rebellion. And Earth kept moving. New ships, new allies, new missions. But the goal stayed. The same: end the war, end the Empire. Inside a small room aboard a human ship, a young girl stared at a star map. She had lost her brother in the first wave of attacks. Now she trained to pilot. Will it ever be safe again? She asked. Her teacher, a reaper in plain clothes, answered gently, safe no, but it will be free. Outside, 3 human ships passed quietly over a ruined Empire outpost. They didn't fire. They didn't stop. They had bigger targets now. And the Empire, once feared by all, now feared only one thing: what the humans would do next. A cold silence filled space above Earth. Empire ships floated in orbit, damaged and scattered. Fires burned in the lower atmosphere. But Earth still stood, inside the Empire's command fleet. Lord Zero paced the control deck. His armor was cracked, his eyes tired. The war was no longer going their way, and he knew it. All requests for reinforcements had failed. Outposts had gone dark. Allies had vanished. The Empire wasn't losing control. It had already lost it. Only one thing remained, one final battle. The Empire gathered every ship, left its largest cruisers, its deadliest weapons. They formed a massive fleet above Earth, blocking out the stars. Zero stood at the center, facing the planet that had broken everything. And this, he said, crush them, now. But down on Earth, humanity was ready. Inside a deep command bunker beneath the Arctic ice, leaders stood around a single glowing table. Civilians, soldiers, hackers, scientists, farmers, people from every part of the world. They all stared at one command: Black Sky Protocol. It was Earth's last secret. A weapon built not to destroy planets, but to shut down empires. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a virus. It was something new. It used the very code of the Empire's own technology, reprogrammed, repurposed, weaponized. A digital storm designed to crash systems, flip controls, and leave nothing but silence. One voice spoke into the command center: once we launch, we can't take it back. A pause, then the answer came: do it. Above, the sky turned black. Hundreds of drones, tiny, fast, nearly invisible, rushed upward from hidden platforms around the globe. They passed through Empire shields like wind through cloth. No explosions, no warnings. Then, the Empire's ships began to shut down. One by one, lights flickered, engines died, weapons failed. Inside command decks, officers screamed as controls stopped responding. Alarms blared, systems rebooted again and again, but nothing worked. Zero watched in horror as the flagship lost power. The stars vanished from the screens. Gravity shifted, doors froze. Report, he shouted. But there was no response, only silence. Then, across every Empire ship, a single message appeared. White text on a black screen. You were warned. On Earth, people waited. They didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. They watched in silence as the Empire's fleet drifted, powerless, just above their sky. Then, a signal was sent. A message not just to the Empire, but to every species in the galaxy. It showed images, burning cities, fallen soldiers, lost families. It showed the pain of invasion, the fear, the anger. Then it showed something else. Unity, resistance, fire. A human voice spoke calmly, clearly, across all known channels. We are the people of Earth. You came to our home with fire and steel. You called us primitive, soft, divided. You tried to break us. The voice paused. The image shifted to the galaxy map, highlighting every system the humans had reached since the war began. But instead, you taught us who we are. You showed us that we are stronger than fear, that we do not run, that we do not forget. The screen showed Empire ships, now powerless, drifting in Earth's orbit. We gave you a warning. You ignored it. We asked for peace. You laughed, so we answered your fire with our own. The image shifted again, showing rebel planets, freed cities, flags of old enemies now working together. If you still wish to fight, know this: we won't stop. If you choose peace, we will offer it. But if you threaten us again, The screen darkened. The final line appeared in bold white text. "We are human. Try us again and you will meet monsters." Across the galaxy, people watched in silence. Some wept. Some whispered. Some stood. On distant planets, flags of the Empire were pulled down. On Earth, the lights stayed off in many homes, not from damage but from rest. For the first time in weeks, people slept without fear. In the ruins of a fallen Empire base, a young alien soldier stared at a human child offering him food. The soldier asked, "Why help me?" The child shrugged. "You're not the enemy anymore." And somewhere, deep in a quiet part of space, a new starship launched, built by many species, flying under one symbol, Earth's blue circle. The galaxy would remember the Empire's fall, but more than that, it would remember the warning, "Don't mess with humans." Because now, everyone understood why.